I've made claims in the past that as time goes by, that Christians and anyone who believes in the Bible are going to be demonized in the end of time. Today, standing in front of the camera, what do I have to say before you? I'm just going to simply say, I told you so. Whether you want to accept it or whether you don't want to accept it, it's something that is there. It's a fact, irrefutable.
Now, I want all of you to make note that what I'm about to share with you is a speech that was made by Pope Francis. This was delivered on a day of the occult. It was delivered on Friday the 13th, which is known as the Day of Occult Superstitions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already figured out by now, well, let me enlighten you and let you know what my motives are here on YouTube. My main motives here are to expose the workings of darkness and to bring them to light, that people may be able to see who they are. See, ladies and gentlemen, I was tempted to not bring this to your attention because I automatically had that mindset that people already heard of this. However, I'm doing this for the sake of those who have not yet heard the news. What is the news, you may ask? Well, just as the title of the video states, so also will I repeat this before your hearing. Pope Francis threatens any true Bible believers. What does this mean, you may ask? Well, it simply means like this. Pope Francis is in opposition of those who take the Bible literally, those who believe that the Bible is divinely inspired. They are a threat to the new system of order. Am I making this up? Well, listen to these words, ladies and gentlemen. From this one Christian news article, listen to these words that I'm reading for you right now. And I'm going to also quote from another news article just to give you a better understanding. Violence in the name of God does not correspond with our time, he said. It's something ancient with historical perspective. One has to say that Christians at times have practiced it. When I think of the 30 Years' War, there was violence in the name of God. Today is unimaginable, right? We arrive sometimes by way of religion to very serious, very grave contradictions. Fundamentalism, for example. The three religions. We have our fundamentalist groups, small in relation to all the rest. End quote. Francis made his first visit as Pope to the Holy Land last month. While the official purpose of the visit was to improve ties with the Orthodox Church, the Pope was believed to have 4 goals, including to bring about peace in the Middle East. The Pope added that a fundamentalist group is violent, and quote, although it may not kill anyone, although it may not strike anyone, is violent. And this is because, and quote, the mental structure of fundamentalists is violence in the name of God, end quote. Now, quoting from the Catholic website itself, listen to these words. It's the exact same thing, just only in a simplified version. And it reads, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam all, end quote, have our fundamentalist groups, small in relation to the rest, end quote, he said. A fundamentalist group, even though it doesn't strike anyone, is violent. The mentality of fundamentalism is violence in the name of God, end quote. And some of you may say, oh well, so what? What's the big deal with that? Isn't it true? Fundamentalists are dangerous people, right? Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear the words carefully? I will read it one more time so that there is no confusion and you will know exactly who they are referring to. It says, in quote, a fundamentalist group, even it doesn't strike anyone, is violent. The mentality of fundamentalism is violence in the name of God, end quote. Now, for those of you who do not know what fundamentalism means, let me simplify this by giving you the definition for fundamentalism. The first definition reads the following. A movement in American Protestantism that arose in the early part of the 20th century in reaction to modernism and that stresses the infallibility of the Bible not only in matters of faith and morals, but also as a literal historical record, holding as essential to Christian faith belief in such doctrines as the creation of the world, the virgin birth, physical resurrection, atonement by the sacrificial death of Christ, and the second coming. And another definition for fundamentalism, and it's more on a secular note, this is what it reads. Listen: strict adherence to any set of basic ideas or principles. The fundamentalism of the extreme conservatives. And I'll give one more definition. Listen to these words coming directly from another dictionary, and it reads the following: fundamentalism. Number one, Christianity. Among certain Protestant sects, it says the belief that every word of the Bible is divinely inspired and therefore true. That is simply fundamentalism wrapped up in one statement. It simply means the strict adherence to certain principles, the strict adherence to the Bible. That is simply what it means. Fundamentalists do not compromise their faith to suit society. The Protestant Reformation, which was led by Martin Luther and many of the other reformers, they were fundamentalists. It was fundamentalists who believed in the Bible. They were the ones who stood up against the apostasy within the Roman Catholic Church. And this should not surprise you with regards to why Pope Francis will speak so harshly against anyone who is a fundamentalist. This is because fundamentalism reminds Pope Francis, along with the Roman Catholic Church, of what happens when people stand up for their belief. When people take a stand for their belief and stand up for God, they will stand up against any authority that stands in opposition to their belief. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, God, even in these last days, is seeking for true fundamentalists. God is seeking out for fundamentalists who will not compromise their faith, but rather stand up in His name. When you consider the word fundamentalist, when you closely examine scripture, all of the people who stood up, all of the prophets and saints of old who stood up in God's name, they are true fundamentalists. And society did not like that. Even Jesus Christ Himself, He was a fundamentalist. And today, in the 21st century age, when you look at the Christian world today, can you see who is a true fundamentalist of the Christian denomination? Ladies and gentlemen, the remnant of God is the only true fundamentalist in these last days. Those that keep the commandments of God and have the faith. They have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Whom am I speaking of? Well, I've done a presentation on this before. I'm talking about the Seventh-day Adventists. One thing you must understand, ladies and gentlemen, is there is fundamentalism and there is extremism. One is violent, one is non-violent. To be an extremist means that you will take things to extreme measures even if it means to kill someone. Extremists will take things one step further. They will go to starting wars for the sake of their religion.
For those of you who like to stay on neutral grounds and you like to just be as the mediator or the moderate person, whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life where each person is going to officially have to make a conscious decision. You either stand here or you stand here. There is no here. You're either hot or you're cold. There is no middle ground. Get that into your system. The truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, we live in a godless society. Our society has already pushed God out of the picture. We are so close, ladies and gentlemen, to the mark of the beast. We are so close to National Sunday Law. It's something that's not even funny anymore. This is something that you cannot refute. This is something that is self-evident. All you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is look in the right direction and you will see it. It's right in front of you. World religion is being brought back once again. As it happened before in the past, a national day of public rest was instigated. National Sunday Law. It was instigated in the past. So also scriptures tells us that in the last days the exact same thing will yet again be instigated. When that time comes, ladies and gentlemen, you who like to stay on neutral grounds, you're going to have to make up your minds whether you're going to follow the rule and disobey God's commandments and keep man's commandments, or you're either going to stand for God. You're either going to be hot or cold then. The moral of the story is, ladies and gentlemen, you need to practice standing up for your faith now while there is yet time to practice standing up. Because if you can't stand up now, guess what? That's right, you cannot stand up then when the time is required of you to make up your decision. Thank you for tuning in and for joining the Controversy 7 once again. Until next time, I invite you to stay tuned, subscribe, and if you haven't already, I invite you to join me on Facebook by liking my Facebook fan page. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you take good care of yourselves and stay out of trouble.